So, back in 2015, Doctor Who was heading on a downward spiral, both to the general public and to many of the fans who had taken the show into their hearts in the preceding years. Gone were iconic Saturday nights with David Tennant and Matt Smith in exchange for a niche cult sci-fi show that was more interested in overcomplicated lore and story arcs than actually moving forward and finding itself in a new direction. While a lot of people did and still do like this era of the show, I think it's fair to say it didn't fit into modern TV schedules, meaning that Moffat said enough was enough and it was time to strip back to what worked. Moffat does have flaws as a showrunner, I would definitely be the first to admit, and while I didn't watch this series on broadcast due to being one of the many fans who lost their love for the show during Series 9, I will always respect his decision to make something more accessible and solid to go out on, and finally giving Capaldi a series worthy of his incredible Doctor. So today I'm going to be looking at and reviewing the first episode of this new vision for the show and analysing whether or not it works through the different points that I had while rewatching the episode. So sit back and enjoy as Frazzles rips into the pilot. The first thing I want to highlight about this opening scene is that the music is some of Murray Gold's best work since Series 7, because outside of Shepherd's Boy, which was obviously outstanding, I think that his work was starting to get a bit stale and not really making scenes very memorable. However, with this episode we are back on top form as the nice and sweet but also subtle theme for Bill gives the audience an idea of what kind of person she is and what her relationship with the Doctor is going to be like. Speaking of which, Peter Capaldi is absolutely fantastic in this scene, and for once the comedy is actually working. I just love the look on both Bill and Nardole's faces as the bolt just awkwardly falls out of his arm, as it doesn't rely on highlighting what's actually funny about the gag. And also, I absolutely adore Bill's monologue about Chips. It's both endearing and funny. And funny enough, it was actually based on her audition piece, which doesn't surprise me, because it does feel as if it was retroactively added into the script, especially based on her following lines. But the performance makes it seem real, and to be honest, if I was there in the audition process, then I would definitely cast Pearl Mackie after seeing this. The dialogue between Bill and the Doctor is really good. It just absolutely sparkles, even if it is just me grinning at how much fun Capaldi is obviously having. But if I were to criticise some small things about this, then yeah, the fan service is unnecessary, and doesn't give the audience the impression that I think Moffat intended, that this series is going to be free from relying on the past. And the reaction to Bill saying, "Doctor what?" is kind of framed as if you're meant to be shocked at the fact somebody isn't saying who for once, even though that has been said before. But those are just nitpicks, and I also think the framing of the scene creates a really warm atmosphere, and Moffat introducing the Doctor as a mysterious and distant but ultimately kind-hearted professor is the perfect characterisation for not just Capaldi but the Doctor in general. In fact, I would go as far as say that Series 10 should have been Capaldi's first series, with this not just being how he's introduced to Bill but to the audience as well, but that's a topic for another day. So straight after the title sequence we get yet another monologue from Capaldi, which I'm going to be honest here, got really tiresome throughout his entire era, and as usual the only thing stopping it from being a travesty is Capaldi's incredible performance and screen presence. However, I can't really give a point to that, as I often say that whenever I'm criticising his episodes. So, well no, I can't be that harsh. There is some stuff to like here, such as the way Bill's life is dotted in between, and I also really think the script is nicely written. It's got some really nice imagery in there. But other than that, yeah, I really wish it had been cut out. But there's still a lot else to like here, such as the way Bill's foster mum is introduced. Based on this scene alone, and some later ones, I really think she was a missed opportunity, and I would have just loved to see her relationship with Bill furthered and explored, and especially like to see her react to the Doctor in person, to act as a nice successor to some of the excellent magic the Doctor had with Jackie Tyler. The alien threat is also nicely introduced, however the host has no chemistry with Bill whatsoever. And as I said, the concept is nicely introduced, however it's not original or interesting. It's an alien life form trapped on Earth and trying to find a human host who wants to leave their home. Guys, that's literally the plot and twist of the Lodger from... Jesus, the Lodger was 10 years ago. I don't necessarily have a problem with an idea being reused, as stories such as The 11th Hour justify its reuse of the girl in the fireplace idea. As long as it's recontextualised, I don't have a problem. But one thing I do have to compliment this episode for doing is that it doesn't give a convoluted backstory to the threat. It just happens, I'm glad Moffat realised that it's not necessary to give paragraphs and paragraphs of backstory, as it doesn't really add anything to the story. Also, how can I not talk about this amazing shot in which the TARDIS is revealed to Bill for the first time? It's probably the most magical and beautiful shot of the TARDIS we've had since Rose wandered through its doors all the way back in 2005. So, as the plot moves forwards, so does our TARDIS team. As other than the point I mentioned, this episode's pretty inconsequential with its plot. The direction is really nice, and so is the sound design, and I love the way the water moves up and down the stairs. But, you know, it's all inconsequential, so the next major scene I want to talk about is... Yeah, it's time to talk about that Dalek scene, which... It's my least favourite part of the episode. Now, as I mentioned, the direction in this episode is superb, but in this scene, the setting and the Daleks are just overlit and it washes out any fear factor they have, meaning that by 2017, the Daleks had officially been drained of the menace and the huge heights to which the RTD era had restored them. And also, I like the idea of the Doctor visiting the Dalek and Magellan War, but why are they just the same bronze ones? It would have been nice to see some of the classic ones, as it's fan service that actually furthers the plot. I mean, I love the bronze design, but by this point I was and still am sick of the sight of it, and I hope in upcoming Chibnall Dalek stories they are officially retired. So yeah, this seems pretty crap. The Daleks are nothing more than generic shouting robots that could easily be switched out for any other race of robotic creatures. But the only things I do like about this scene are that, first off, I'm pleased they cut the promotion scene they used to promote Bill, well, reveal Bill, at, I think it was the World Cup or something, and B, the conclusion to the story works on an emotional level. And a story level, I suppose, although I much prefer the idea of the water creature having drained the girl of everything she once had, as opposed to becoming super puddle. But as I said, Bill's reaction is really nice, and so is the Doctor's, really. I think it really adds a nice hook to end the episode on. And that's where the episode ends. I don't really feel anything else for the rest of this episode. It's pretty empty, apart from the opening and the emotional ending. I mean, I like the mind wipe scene at the end with the Doctor attempting to erase Bill's memory, and the shot of him standing outside the TARDIS, which was quite heavily used in promotional trailers, is really nice to see. It's really nice to look at. But overall, this episode does what it's supposed to. It doesn't give you anything so good that when you come back later, it's kind of disappointing because you peaked early. It does what a pilot's supposed to do. It starts well, and thankfully Sue's turn sticks the landing and it gets much, much better. The dialogue just sparkles, and some of the visual horror that Moffat puts into the script is really good. It actually lands. And the direction and the music, it's all really good. It's just not exactly, a classic. It's just really, really solid. And the chemistry between the three main leads it's electric as always. Thanks for sticking around to watch the end of this, the entire Frazzles reviews video. I really appreciate it. We're making this, I'm sorry I'm stumbling, I'm doing an unscripted ending here. This went down successfully. I made it quite well, I made it quite quickly, efficiently, and I've learned how to upload videos as well, due to the trailer that you probably saw yesterday. So I look forward to making more. I hope you all stick around to watch them. I can't really say which ones in specific I'm planning, other than the one fantastic scene that Shabogan Who, the project he's doing for Christopher Eccleston. I'm making one of them, so you'll learn about which scene I'm doing hopefully soon. I think it's the 9th, so a few days. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I shall see you next time.